Hello and welcome to Stairway to English. In this video, you will listen and read a story called Discover the Meaning of Your Life. It has 5 episodes, and it will help you improve your English while thinking about life in a deeper way. Please enjoy the story, and don't forget to like this video and share your thoughts in the comments. Let's begin. Episode 1. The First Step. Asking the Big Question. Every life is a journey. From the moment we open our eyes as a baby, we begin to walk on a road that nobody has walked before in exactly the same way. You may have noticed that even if 2 people live in the same family, study in the same school, and share the same house, their lives are still different. This is because each person carries a unique set of thoughts, dreams, feelings, and choices. That uniqueness is what makes the question of life's meaning so personal. It is not a question someone else can fully answer for you. It is a question you need to ask yourself again and again as you move forward in life. But what does it mean to ask about the meaning of life? It starts with curiosity. You begin to wonder, why am I here? What is my purpose? What should I do with my time? These questions are not always easy. In fact, sometimes they can feel heavy, even confusing. Still, asking them is the first step toward living with awareness. If you never ask them, you may walk through life without direction, like a ship that sails without a map or a compass. Think about a ship at sea. If the ship does not know where it wants to go, the waves will take it anywhere. The same is true for us. If we do not ask questions about the meaning of our lives, we may just follow the waves of society, doing what others do without thinking. We may wake up one day and feel lost because we never chose a true direction for ourselves. Asking the question is like opening a map. It may not show you every detail, but it gives you a sense of where you want to go. When we ask, "What is the meaning of my life?" we are not asking for a simple answer. The meaning of life is not something you can find written in a book or hidden in a box. Instead, it is something that grows as you live. It grows through your experiences, your relationships, and your choices. For example, you may feel meaning when you help a friend in need, when you finish a project after working hard, or when you spend time with family. Each of these moments adds a small piece to the puzzle of your life. Some people find meaning through love. Others find it through learning, creating, or helping society. For some, faith and spirituality give direction. For others, meaning is found in simple daily moments, like watching the sun rise or hearing a child laugh. There is no single path. And that is the beauty of it. Asking the question helps you notice what feels meaningful to you. It is important to understand that the meaning of life may change. When you are young, you may think life is about exploring, having fun, and discovering who you are. As you grow older, you may feel meaning in building a career, creating art, or raising a family. Later in life, meaning may come from leaving something behind, like wisdom, kindness, or memories that can inspire the next generation. This change is natural. Meaning is not fixed. It moves with you as you grow. At the same time, you should not feel pressure to find the meaning once and for all. It is not like finding a hidden treasure. Instead, it is like walking through a forest. Each step you take gives you a new view, a new tree, a new flower. The meaning of your life is discovered step by step in the process of living. Sometimes people think they need big events to feel meaning, like becoming famous or making a lot of money. But this is not true. Many times, meaning is hidden in the small things. A simple act of kindness, a deep conversation, or even a quiet moment of reflection can be full of meaning. These are the moments that make life rich and deep. To begin this journey of discovery, you need to slow down and listen to yourself. In today's world, it is easy to get lost in noise. Social media, work, endless tasks. But if you never stop to think, the question of meaning will remain silent in the background. Taking just a few minutes every day to reflect can open the door. You can ask yourself, what gave me joy today? What made me feel proud? What felt empty or without value? By answering these questions, you slowly begin to shape an understanding of your life's direction. Remember, asking the big question is not a sign of weakness or confusion. It is a sign of wisdom. It shows that you care about your life enough to give it attention. It shows that you are ready to live with purpose instead of just passing time. The first step is not about finding all the answers. It is about daring to ask. And once you ask, the journey begins. So the first step in discovering the meaning of your life is to ask the big question with an open heart and mind. It is to accept that the answer will not be given in one day, but it will grow as you grow. Your life is like a book, and every day you add a page. The meaning is written not in the final page, but in every page you write. Episode 2. Listening to your inner voice. Discovering the meaning of life does not happen only by looking at the outside world. It also happens by listening inside to what we may call the inner voice. This inner voice is not always loud. It is often quiet, like a whisper. But if we pay attention, it can guide us in powerful ways. It can show us what feels right and what feels wrong. It can remind us of our values and help us choose a direction. You may ask, what is the inner voice? It is not the voice of fear, and it is not the voice of other people telling you what to do. Instead, it is the calm feeling deep inside that says, this is who I am, or this is what matters to me. Sometimes the inner voice speaks in words, but often it speaks through feelings. For example, you may feel peace when you are doing something that is close to your purpose. You may feel heavy or empty when you are living in a way that is far from your truth. In daily life, it is easy to ignore this voice. We are surrounded by noise and pressure. Advertisements tell us what to buy. Social media shows us what others are doing. Family and society may expect us to choose certain paths, like studying a specific subject, finding a certain kind of job, or living in a particular way. These voices can become so loud that we forget to listen to ourselves. But when we stop and pay attention, the inner voice becomes clear. Listening to your inner voice requires practice. One way to practice is through silence. Take a few minutes each day without your phone, without music, without distractions. Sit quietly and breathe. Ask yourself, how do I feel right now? What do I really want? At first, it may feel strange, but with time, You will notice that your mind becomes calmer, and the soft voice inside begins to speak. Another way to hear your inner voice is by writing. You can keep a journal where you write about your thoughts and feelings. When you write honestly, without judging yourself, the truth begins to show on the page. You may see patterns, things that always give you energy or always make you tired. These patterns are signs from your inner voice about what matters to you. Listening to the inner voice does not mean ignoring others completely. It is still important to learn from family, teachers, or friends, but their advice should not replace your own sense of meaning. Think of it like cooking. You can listen to others' recipes, but in the end, you must taste the food and decide what feels right for you. Your life is your own dish, and your inner voice is the main ingredient. Sometimes the inner voice will ask you to make hard choices. Maybe it tells you to leave a job that feels empty, even if others think it looks successful. Maybe it tells you to study art, even when people say it is not practical. These decisions can be scary, but they can also be the key to living with real meaning. When you ignore your inner voice for too long, you may feel lost, tired, or unfulfilled. When you follow it, even with challenges, you feel alive. One mistake people often make is confusing the inner voice with fear or desire. Fear says, stay safe, don't try. Desire sometimes says, do this only for pleasure or money. The inner voice is different. It is calm, steady, and connected to your deepest values. You can recognize it because it does not scream. It quietly reminds you of what is true, even when it is difficult. Children often live closer to their inner voice. They naturally know what excites them. A child may spend hours drawing, running, or asking questions because it feels right. As we grow, we sometimes lose this connection because of pressure and expectations. Reconnecting with the child inside us can help us hear our inner truth again. Listening to your inner voice is not a one-time event. It is something you do again and again, especially when life changes. At different ages, your inner voice may guide you in new directions. At 20, it may push you toward learning and adventure. At 40, it may tell you to build something lasting. At 70, it may whisper about giving back to others or enjoying peace. That is why listening never ends. It grows with you. Discovering the meaning of your life is like building a house. Asking the big question is the foundation, and listening to your inner voice is the walls. Without the walls, the house cannot stand. Without listening, the question remains only a thought, not a path. By practicing silence, reflection, and honesty, you build strong walls that protect your journey toward meaning. So, the second step in discovering the meaning of life is to open your ears to the quiet guide inside you. It is not about doing what the world tells you without thinking. It is not about chasing everything that looks shiny. It is about trusting that small, calm voice that knows you better than anyone else. When you listen, you take control of your direction. You stop drifting with the waves and begin to sail with purpose. Episode 3: The Role of Challenges in Finding Meaning. When people think about the meaning of life, they often imagine peace, comfort, and happiness. These are, of course, important parts of life. But meaning is not built only from easy days. Challenges, struggles, and difficulties play a critical role in helping us discover who we are and what we value. Without challenges, life might feel smooth, but it can also feel empty. With challenges, life becomes more complex, but it also becomes richer and more real. Think of a seed growing into a tree. The seed cannot stay safe underground forever. It must break open, push through the soil, and reach for the sun. This process is not easy, but it is necessary for the tree to become strong. In the same way, humans grow through difficulties. When we face problems, we are forced to ask questions like, what do I really want? What do I believe? What is worth my effort? These questions shape our understanding of meaning. For example, someone who loses a job may first feel sad or afraid, but this experience can also push them to discover new talents or passions. They may realize they always wanted to start a small business or study a subject they love. Without the challenge of losing the job, they may never have looked inside themselves. The challenge becomes a door that leads to deeper meaning. History also shows us that many great thinkers, artists, and leaders discovered their purpose through struggles. Writers who lived in poverty often created stories that touched millions of people. Leaders who faced injustice found the strength to fight for freedom. Scientists who failed again and again finally discovered something that changed the world. Their difficulties were not the end of meaning. They were the path to it. Of course, when we are inside a challenge, it does not always feel positive. Pain, sadness, or confusion are real emotions. We should not ignore them or pretend they are easy, but we can choose how to respond. Some people let difficulties break them. Others use them as lessons. The difference often comes from perspective. If we see challenges only as punishment, we may feel hopeless. But if we see them as opportunities to learn about ourselves, we can grow stronger. Challenges also teach us resilience, which is the ability to keep going even when life is hard. Resilience is like a muscle. It becomes stronger only when we use it. Each time we overcome a problem, we learn that we are capable of more than we thought. This confidence helps us face the next challenge with less fear. Resilience does not mean we never fall. It means we learn how to rise again. Another important lesson from challenges is empathy. When you go through pain, you understand the pain of others better. Someone who has struggled with illness, for example, may feel deep compassion for others who are sick. Someone who has faced loneliness may know how to comfort another person who feels alone. In this way, challenges connect us to other human beings. They remind us that meaning is not only about our personal success, but also about how we help others. It is also important to see that challenges often push us to change direction. Imagine you are walking on a road and a big stone blocks your way. At first, you may be angry because the road is closed. But then you look around and discover a new path that is even more beautiful. Without the stone, you would never have explored it. In life, challenges often act like these stones. They push us to explore new possibilities that bring us closer to meaning. Some people believe that meaning comes only from pleasure, wealth, or success. But if we look deeper, we see that the most meaningful moments often come after hard times. Graduating from school feels meaningful because it was difficult. Finishing a project feels powerful because it required effort. Helping someone feels important because we remember how it felt when we needed help. Meaning is born from the combination of struggle and growth. So, how can we face challenges in a way that leads to meaning? One way is to ask questions during difficult times. What can I learn from this? How can this make me stronger? How can I use this experience to help others? These questions transform pain into purpose. They do not erase the difficulty, but they give it direction. Life without challenges would be like a book with no conflict, no surprises, and no growth. Such a book would be boring to read. Our lives, too, need both the light of joy and the shadow of struggle to make the story meaningful. By facing difficulties with courage and reflection, we find layers of meaning we never expected. So, the third step in discovering the meaning of your life is to recognize the role of challenges. Do not run away from them or hate them completely. Instead, see them as teachers. Each problem you face is a lesson that brings you closer to your true self. The journey may be painful, but it also shapes the story of who you are becoming. Episode 4: Relationships and Shared Meaning. When we talk about the meaning of life, many people focus on personal goals, individual dreams, or inner peace. These are very important, but they are not the whole picture. Human beings are social creatures. We do not live alone, and our lives are connected to others in countless ways. Relationships, whether with family, friends, partners, or communities, play a central role in shaping our sense of meaning. From the moment we are born, relationships influence us. A baby cannot survive without the care of parents or caregivers. As we grow older, friendships, teachers, and communities guide our learning and behavior. These connections do more than provide comfort or support. They also help us answer big questions. Who am I? What do I value? Where do I belong? Meaning is not something we create completely alone. It is often discovered and built together. Think about love. Many people describe love as one of the deepest sources of meaning. Love can take many forms: romantic love, family love, or the love between close friends. Love makes life feel valuable because it connects us to another person in a profound way. It allows us to share joys, sorrows, and hopes. Love teaches us that our lives matter not just because of who we are, but also because of how we care for others. Friendship is another important part of shared meaning. Friends are not chosen by blood or obligation, but by trust and connection. True friendships bring laughter, support, and understanding. They give us a safe space to express ourselves. When friends walk beside us through challenges, we realize that meaning grows when it is shared. A victory feels bigger when a friend celebrates with us, and pain feels lighter when a friend listens. Communities also provide meaning. Being part of a group, whether it is a neighborhood, a workplace, a religious group, or even a hobby club, gives people a sense of belonging. They remind us that we are part of something larger than ourselves. They also give us chances to contribute, to help others, and to see our actions make a difference in the lives of many. Relationships are also a mirror. Through them, we discover qualities about ourselves we might not see alone. For example, someone may not realize they're a good listener until friends begin to share their secrets with them. Someone may not know they have leadership skills until a group looks to them for guidance. By connecting with others, we learn more about our strengths and weaknesses, which adds depth to our meaning. Of course, relationships are not always easy. Conflicts, misunderstandings, and differences can create pain. But even these difficulties can add meaning. When we work through conflicts, we practice patience, forgiveness, and communication. These skills not only improve the relationship, but also help us grow as individuals. Meaning does not come from perfect harmony, but from the effort to connect honestly and respectfully. It is also important to recognize that relationships are not only about taking, but also about giving. When we support, encourage, or care for others, we often discover a stronger sense of purpose. Acts of kindness, whether big or small, remind us that our lives have value in the eyes of others. Helping someone through a difficult time can leave a lasting memory that feels deeply meaningful. Another way relationships build meaning is through shared experiences. Traveling together, working on a project, raising children, or even simply eating meals together creates stories that stay with us. These shared memories become part of our identity. Years later, when we look back, we often see that the most meaningful moments were not spent alone, but in the company of others. Interestingly, science supports this idea. Studies show that people with strong social connections tend to live longer, healthier, and happier lives. They are also more resilient in the face of challenges. This suggests that relationships are not only emotionally meaningful, but also biologically important. Our bodies and minds are designed to connect, and through connection, we find meaning. So, how can we build relationships that give life meaning? One way is to practice presence. In a busy world, giving someone your full attention is rare and powerful. Another way is gratitude. Thanking people for their role in your life strengthens the bond and reminds both of you of the value of the connection. Finally, honesty and openness allow relationships to grow in depth and trust. In the end, discovering the meaning of life is not only a personal journey, but also a shared one. Our connections with others remind us that we are not isolated beings, but part of a greater web of life. Relationships teach us that meaning grows when it is shared, nurtured, and celebrated together. So, the fourth step in discovering the meaning of your life is to understand the role of relationships. Meaning is not something we carry alone like a secret treasure. It is something we build, exchange, and multiply through the bonds we form with others. Episode 5: Growth, Legacy, and the Ongoing Journey. When we think about the meaning of life, it is natural to search for a clear answer, as if there is one final truth waiting to be discovered. But meaning is not a single moment, and it is not something you simply find once and keep forever. Meaning is a process. It grows with you, changes with your experiences, and expands as you move through different stages of life. To discover the meaning of your life, you must see it as a journey of growth, contribution, and legacy. Growth is one of the strongest sources of meaning. Human beings are not meant to stay the same forever. We are built to learn, to adapt, and to transform. Every challenge, every mistake, and every success becomes part of your personal growth. Think about a time when you faced difficulty. Perhaps you failed at something or you experienced loss. In the moment, it may have felt painful or meaningless, but later you may have realized that the experience helped you grow stronger, wiser, or more compassionate. Growth shows us that even hard times can carry meaning when we learn from them. Personal growth is also connected to curiosity and learning. The more you explore the world, the more you discover about yourself and about life. Reading, traveling, practicing new skills, or even having deep conversations all add to your understanding. Growth gives meaning because it reminds you that life is not fixed. It is open, flexible, and full of possibility. But meaning is not only about yourself, it is also about what you give to the world. Contribution creates a powerful sense of purpose. When you help others, share knowledge, or improve something in your community, you leave a mark. This does not have to be something grand, like changing the whole world. Even small acts, like teaching a child to read, planting a tree, or supporting a friend in need, create ripples of meaning. Contribution teaches us that our lives are bigger than our own personal story. This leads to the idea of legacy. Legacy is what remains after we are gone. It can be physical, like a building or a book, or it can be invisible, like the values you pass to your children or the kindness you showed to others. Legacy reminds us that meaning stretches beyond our lifetime. Even when we are no longer here, the effects of our actions, words, and love continue to shape the world. Thinking about legacy encourages us to ask, what do I want to leave behind? How do I want to be remembered? These questions guide our choices and give direction to our lives. Another important part of discovering meaning is recognizing that it is ongoing. You do not wake up one day and suddenly know the final answer to life's mystery. Instead, you build meaning step by step. At different ages, meaning may look different. For a young person, meaning may come from exploring possibilities and building dreams. For someone in the middle of life, meaning may be about caring for family, working, or serving a community. For older people, meaning may come from reflection, wisdom, and passing knowledge to younger generations. Each stage adds a layer to the story of life. It is also important to see that meaning is not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes, the most meaningful moments are quiet and simple. Watching a sunrise, listening to music, sitting in silence with someone you love, these moments remind us that meaning can be found in the present, not only in the future or in big achievements. By paying attention to the present, we discover that life already carries meaning in every breath, every smile, and every connection. At the same time, meaning also requires hope. Without hope, it is difficult to see a future worth living. Hope gives us the courage to keep moving, to keep searching, and to keep believing that our lives matter. Hope is not about ignoring difficulties, but about trusting that even in darkness, light can appear. Hope transforms pain into strength and emptiness into possibility. So, how can you continue this journey of meaning? Start by reflecting often. Ask yourself, what did I learn today? How did I grow? How did I contribute? What gave me joy? These questions help you notice meaning instead of letting it pass unnoticed. Practice gratitude as well. Gratitude allows you to see that even small things, a meal, a friend, a laugh, are pieces of meaning that make life rich. Finally, remember that discovering meaning is not about finding a single answer that never changes. It is about walking the path, step by step, with openness and courage. It is about growing as a person, giving to others, building a legacy, and living with awareness. The fifth step in discovering the meaning of your life is to understand that meaning is not an end, it is a journey. Growth gives it depth, contribution gives it purpose, and legacy gives it continuity. Each day is a chance to add to the story, to build a life that feels full, and to discover again and again why it matters. So the meaning of life is not hidden in some faraway place. It is already here, in your growth, in your relationships, in your contributions, and in the hope you carry forward. Life is not about waiting for meaning, it is about living it.